Hello and hey, today we're messing around with a little game called Elden Ring. Maybe you heard of it. This time seeing if we can beat the game or at least get as far as possible without dealing any direct damage ourselves. Thank you for coming along on this journey with me, wanting to see if this was possible, and it looks like you wanted to know as well. Let's just hop right into it. I'm sure there's an optimal choice of class, and I am equally as sure that I will not make it. We're going all business with this beautiful boy. For a keepsake, we can snag almost any of these. I'm just going to go Golden Seed as an early quality of life move, get an extra flask charge without having to go out of the way. And as we take our first steps into the lands between, while I got you on the horn here, this game is ridiculously open. There are surprisingly few mandatory bosses, and I do have high hopes for this adventure. I foresee us getting very far, seeing a couple hurdles on the horizon that I don't know how to clear just yet, but would love to actually beat the game. Just gonna have to see what the game lets us do. As I suppose most of you are expecting, this means we're going to be focusing on the Spirit Ash summons to clear our path. Hopefully we're able to mix in some interesting uses of gameplay in addition to that, but nothing to stretch the definition away from our clear intended goal of no direct damage. For now, we're collecting tons of Sites of Grace, Torrent, Rune Pickups, Sacred Tears, Flask of Wonder Physics, Golden Seeds, before we even think about taking on that first boss. First half hour is going to be running in straight lines. See you in a bit. Speaking of the first boss, it's time to talk about that very first foe, Market. The bane of many a person's first few hours, a decently steep wall to come across this early for our build as well. His awkward timings, short openings, and general hygiene choices are challenging for our unupgraded summons to face off against, which is why I will, with no shame, employ the Sorcerer Summon to assist my own in this fight. In a fair fight, the Fanged Imps would give about the best chance, especially if Roger decides to pop off. You'd still have to parry some of the staff hits to give them a reasonable chance to get all the bleed procs they need with regularity, so it's above my pay grade, and I maybe forgot to mention I'm not very good at these games. Instead, we will travel into Pimple Land and adopt a rescue. Pacifist and a pet lover? Such a catch. We received 3 healthy boys with our Spirit Bell, but who doesn't love an underdog? We gotta go get them. We come back and slap down a slice of American on this charcuterie board, the application of rot making this no trouble at all. Fresh off that victory, we have taken up botany to match our recent interest in animal husbandry, as well as convinced a Scotch lass to come party. In exchange for money and flowers, she's roided up man's best friend and we'll have another simple fight. Godric will be the same as the last fight. Rotten Stray does all he can, inflicting the black sheep of the royal family with the Black Plague. Almost said that backward. And we do our best greased up deaf guy impression. Get a pretty okay rune for our troubles. Nextly, we do some more sightseeing of Caelid as well as the Weeping Peninsula, touching all their stuff. Then we get to ride in an elevator up north, not trying to brag, unlike you pleasants have to take the stairs. Anyway, we get to go on that magical ride to skip a minor fight that would have been a touch too much for our current summons, but we get to have friends for this Radon fight, so while it's not our lovable pupper, we will have some company. After they begin to whittle down his health bar, he'll get a little angy, my solution, tucker him out and run him across the wasteland, and we're going to introduce him to a new hobby, free climbing. We then desperately try to survive his showing off until he succumbs to gravity. Safety first, Radon. That took me way more tries than I'd like to admit. Very unlucky. We obtain an alright rune for our discipline and access to an area that we don't need to go to just yet, but will be very important moving forward. From here we have a plethora of options. We can go grab several different bosses and even a couple of great rune bosses. However, we will press onwards with our 2 so-so runes and to gain entry into the capital, making sure to grab the 3rd talisman pouch before we get the quote-unquote 4th, as it's possible to glitch and miss it. Although technically not a mandatory boss, we do need to enter the capital, and I'm opting for this route, feeling this is the easiest. The guy is a bit of a fun fight for me. He doesn't abuse staggered timings as much as your average Elden Ring boss, and considering he does have a couple of mix-ups, that is kind of saying something. No matter, a combination of Plague Doggo and a steady bullying will eventually take this foe down. Without the bullying, the Stray is super unlikely to live long enough to do enough regular damage on top of the rot, so we are left with a situation where the boss has a sliver, and there are a couple things I could do that aren't direct damage, but holding off on that potential gray area. Hard rejection, it is. After the dog gives it all he's got, we wait in the woods like an absolute coward while he overthinks why you rejected him so intensely, eventually gaining entry into this magnificent city. The next boss is already Godfrey, but hold that thought. Now is the time we will venture into the lost city of Nokron. Nokron? I should listen to the cutscene. We do some aggressive gardening and obtain an OP summon. Then the summon you thought I meant, before returning to the capital and its mandatory bosses. The Great Shield Soldiers we just picked up are made for this encounter with Godfrey. This is another boss that I really enjoy the feel of. Limited mix-ups and staggered timings, though still has a couple. We stand behind the front line, topping them off when they take a slam without blocking. Straightforward, and Godfrey's immunity or near immunity to dots make this much more interesting and enjoyable. Not much to say, super proud of my boys, and I needed to establish my gang's presence if we're about to make a run at the Kingpin. The following boss is a beefed up Margit that will be too oppressive for our simple stray to overcome. He's going to have to get retired. However, we still don't need to turn to the summon I'm sure you've all expected to see prominently in this playthrough. Worth noting, we can get into the arena early and take him down, but there's no honor in that. Plus, I might need to use that tactic later, looking at you, somebody else. So don't want to burn everybody out with the same flavor of cheese. Therefore, Lutel the Headless is a fine choice for this task, and despite eating up a number of resources for probably just a couple fights, it's interesting to see how capable these other summons really can be. She served me well and will help me fight in on minor encounters in the future. As long as she doesn't teleport out of too many of my heals, this warrior makes fine work out of tougher bosses. Ooh, what an ending. Just both absolutely throwing down for an exciting finish. The Luca Brazzi to my Don Corleone. Afterwards, we get to ride on another elevator, which is 3 Bougie 5U. I'm sure you pylons are only up to escalators by now. Typical. But we get to remind the above average height Ginger that free climbing is still dangerous. He won't listen. We're doing the big cheese cliff strategy, or else I'm going to be waiting 14 years for the Mimic to take him down. It's not that interesting, but I don't think the boss fight really is either, so on to the next. After we commit arson by proxy, we are whisked away to Chicago, and it is finally time to unleash the Mimic from its slumber. This upcoming fight is going to be among the least likely to be completed. Either part of the duo can combo out the Mimic at almost any time, and the summon needs to win 4 consecutive 1v1s with minor intervention from each partner on occasion. Sometimes the Mimic will blitz down 1 or even 2, but then get absolutely rolled by a later one. The black fire percentage damage is brutal, especially because it doesn't know how to get out of the ritual version, Grandma's favorite casts. Having the Mimic help you with this fight makes it kind of cool when you're also doing damage. With a decent build / grasp of what each half can do, you'll roll through it. However, leaving everything up to Friendo, we're going to be here for a long time. We need every single bounce to go our way and a little more help beyond that. I decided to sneak into the Consecrated Snowfield, shh, don't be a narc, pulled off an epic heist, and all I got was this stupid torch. Foo! If you're doing this for yourself, and I advise against that, I would fully suggest a respec into a different build for this fight if you do. The Mimic really does need everything to go just right, and I don't even feel that good having achieved the victory. There's elation in my voice, but I'm doing a video, so it's like at least 8/9 presentation. Onwards. Having made it through the Godskin duo, everything else can probably be considered a bonus, but I'd still like to reach an ending, and I didn't say happy. Malekith is honestly a luck fight. I'm hoping the Mimic can heal up to a reasonable level before the end of the easy first phase. Then we need it to land a crucial Rot Breath, with landing some additional damage being a bonus. Then it becomes a fight about retreating safely, which can be easier said than done against this particular foe, as this flying Walenda can get on you in a hurry, and that dot makes you have to do something about being on low health right Godskin now. We'll save the Draconic Tree Sentinel the embarrassment of having to refight us and do our best here. The Mimic AI can be a tricky thing to navigate, but it comes through enough to make it worth doing. I'm abandoning the heal. It's a real him or me situation in that last phase. Some of the flashiest attacks from a main boss in the game. Attrition wins again! Relief. To the capital! Unfortunately, we're going to be going back to back with a similar cheesy strategy for this next mandatory boss fight. And again, we'll also have to rely on a little bit of luck. To make it interesting, we're not going to skip the fight as a whole, though that's possible. And we're technically not cheesing him by breaking his AI either. We're entering an alternate boss fight. Because when we cook him down, the cutscene triggers, but he has a full health bar. And we have an unlimited energy, but don't worry about that part. I wish we didn't. And besides, they meant for you to be able to go over that wall. See? See? You have got to be dry humping me. This is an interesting fight revolving around balancing the aggro between you and your summon. It would take 3 rots to take down the full bar, and he is full rushdown mode the whole time. It's certainly possible, especially if your Mimic actually decides to use anything resembling logical thought. We can cut down on that by sliding over a silvery mist, which we grabbed off of Celavis's cold dead body, well, body bell. It's one of 2 spells that are pretty gray for this area, the other being Poison Mist, which you can obtain without doing damage with this slightly harder than it seems shenanigan. The spells don't hit and they technically don't do damage. They cause a condition that just so happens to cause damage. We don't need them, but they would have made earlier fights even quicker and later fights even more brainless. Just wanted to mention. This saves a rot cycle and it's easy. No. No! If this attack gets him, I'm gonna be so mad. Is it worth ruining the file? Are you... Go again. With Rakan down, we only have one fight left, but we need to make a few stops first. Technically, I've been doing some of them along the way, but didn't want to interrupt the main storyline flow we had going. To get some levels, I employed the fog wall workaround for everybody's favorite statue, Mog? I'll listen to dialogue one day. This is why I didn't want to cheese the others at the Elden Throne. I plan on taking this big old sack of runes down for some easy levels. And while I haven't mentioned it, I don't want to just super over level everything. You know, level 700 Mimic isn't too interesting. But still, we do need some beef for this non-optimized build. Over to Ricard? I don't know how to say any name in this game. Interesting in that if we follow the quest line of invading, I could enter that gray area of defeating my enemies without directly doing damage. It would take at least 10 minutes per enemy, so we're going to skip that. I'm a born runner anyway. While we're going, am I the only one that thinks Volcano Manor is a badass name for anything except if it's literal? Just me? Sorry. Anywho, Serpent Hunter plus Poise allows our Mimic to absolutely throw hands. Just lobbing wrists out here. It's a spectacle of a fight, so I just wanted to show it. What a combo. Sorry about your ears. This brings us to Renala. This should be possible with a number of different summons, but we need luck to be on our side for most of them. Not because it's hard, no. Each summon comes with their own issue for this fight. The ones that are single summons will have a hard time sending the fight to phase 2, as they will almost always be out of position when Renala is vulnerable. Meanwhile, multiple summons are individually weaker and their AI is just as susceptible. Having their power spread out makes it pretty luck dependent that way. Which is why I waited till like literal endgame, so just roll with this late game summon that isn't even super upgraded. Got a +7 Azula Beastman, should have no doubt about it. Luckily I can help them at least get her to drop from her golden stasis. Rejection is one of the few skills that doesn't do damage, so while it is among the most violent things in this game to ragdoll students across the library, it still fits within our stated goal. We're wildin'. This is one of the fights where the Mimic isn't best. It doesn't really like to attack when Renala falls in phase 1. Even these guys know she's there, but when she falls, they go looking for something else. Then, of course, the absolute stomp of phase 2. Pretty satisfying. It's the easiest rune fight, by far. Malenia. So last, but certainly not least, I'm going to let you down. My victory is just getting Malenia to the second phase. Not that it's a particularly hard task to do that. Rejection works really well here. So crowding her into an alcove while your Mimic goes nuts with Horse Stomp, Frost, or pick your favorite Ash of War, just send her to phase 2 almost immediately. That's the best case scenario, I'm saying. Your summon will likely switch to a seal and start two-hand punching with it. Yours is like mine. But other than somehow rendering her AI inert, you're going to need some gear. I have zero doubts that it can, will, and may already have been done, but seems to fall outside the scope of this video until I look into it much more heavily. Apologies, as I'm sure a fair number of you are most interested in this one. I just don't know how to skirt the numbers check into a reasonable probability yet. I'm sorry. And back to the main course, the Radagon Elden Beast fight. This fight is something. In the interest of my time, I'm going to pull a little cheese to both sides of this fight. We'll take forever to get through the first phase, but tons of resources for part 2 mean we'll get it done quicker overall, and I'm here for that.
What are you doing?
Slowly freezing a man to death.
Why?
Pacifism. Again, this is not required. The Mimic can handle itself in this fight, just like the last few where if we draw a little aggro, it can heal up if it feels like it. There's just something that tickled me about the epic main theme playing, this cool aesthetic boss, and we're sat here, generously, I'll say, looking at a belly button with the literal words no skill on the screen as we're just cheesing it. It got me. It serves me right that it would go a lot faster in this phase if I were also poisoning, but don't want the Mimic to start wasting that spell in the Elden Beast phase. Have gone and gotten the extremely aptly named Godslayer Seal and the Black Fireball. Spell itself won't hit for very much, but the burn should be some of the best damage we can do and be fairly consistent. Since if it's not casting this, it's casting its heal or dying, but we're not going to worry about that. There shouldn't be any super close calls unless I fall over from lack of health, and a last reminder that I'm not particularly good at these games. Hopefully my strategy is an RNG negator by doing this. Boom. Love to see it. You can beat Elden Ring without doing any damage. As credits roll, I'll say that it was fulfilling in its own way to find a lot of different workarounds for problems, but man, I would not recommend this. There were obviously better ways to do a lot of things, using an actual build for your Mimic perhaps being the biggest of those. And many more, of course. However, to conclude briefly, on the other side of it, I'm glad it's over. Thrilled we reached our goal, so thanks for seeing it through to the end with me. We'll leave it at thanks. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Be safe, guys.